Planning the arrival of your twins is almost a full-time job, and deciding what they need in the nursery will be a big part of it. Should you buy 2 of everything? And then here's the creative part. Are you doomed to paint your walls either pink or blue? I'm Rachel Crawford, interior designer and founder of Molly Quinn. Here to talk about prepping your twin nursery. This is Twin Talks.
The ultrasound shows your babies to be healthy.
What? Did you say babies? You're huge. Are you having twins?
Are they natural?
Which one do you like better?
Twins, huh? My neighbor's cousin's brother's uncle's a twin.
So can they read each other's minds?
How do you tell them apart? Twins? You got a 2 for 1.
Do twins run in your family?
Double trouble. You're not having any more, are you?
At least you're not Octomom.
If you're pregnant with twins or you're an experienced twin parent, odds are you've heard it all before. Now it's time to hear from the experts. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2. Welcome to Twin Talks, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. Twin Talks is your weekly online, on-the-go support group for expecting and new parents of twins. I'm your host, Christine Stewart Fitzgerald. Have you heard about the Twin Talks Club? Our members get bonus content after each new show, plus special giveaways and discounts. Subscribe to our monthly Twin Talks newsletter and learn about the latest episodes available. Another way for you to stay connected is by downloading our free Twin Talks app, and it's available for most smartphones. So before we get started, let's go around and introduce our panelists here in the room. And Sunny?
Yeah. So, hey, everyone. I'm Sunny. I'm the owner of New Mommy Media, which produces Twin Talks, Parent Savers, Preggy Pals, and the Boob Group. And I have 4 children. My 2 oldest are boys. I have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. And then I have identical twin girls who are 7 months old. And we actually, for our nursery situation, it was a playroom dedicated for my boys and all their toys. And then we had to switch it to be a nursery. So it went from yellow walls to pink walls. So I have a pink room and a blue room. Sorry. Very stereotypical.
And I'm your host, too. I got to introduce myself as well. So I have identical girls who are almost 5. And, we took a very practical approach to our nursery. We've got green walls with a little bit of pink and orange. And then I have a singleton. And ironically, we put her in the second bedroom initially, and then we found out that she is really a creature, person, social creature. And so we ended up putting them all together. So I've got 3 kids in one room. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they really like it.
That's cool. That's cool.
I'm Shelly. I'm the producer here at Twin Talks. I'm also a teacher, but off for the summer. My boys are identical. They will be 2 next month, and then I'm due with a singleton in August. We didn't really make a nursery. The boys were in our room for about 7-8 months, and we kept our other bedroom as a playroom. And then it's gone through kind of a lot of transitions as they've gotten out of cribs into toddler beds into a bigger bed. And this next one's going to be in our bedroom, so I guess I'm interested to find out how you can redo your bedroom to make it more nursery-like. I also wanted to let you guys know about our virtual panelist program. So you can follow us on Facebook or on Twitter. You can also be part of the conversation from the comfort of your own home by using hashtag TwinTalksVP, and it'll let you participate in our conversations as a virtual panelist.
Hey, Twin Talks, we have a special comment from one of our listeners that we wanted to share with you guys today. This comes from Dara Lovitz, and Dara writes, "Thank you so much for producing the recent Twin Talks episode on diastasis recti. As a former triathlete who confidently wore bikinis, I have been struggling with my post-twins diastasis recti, due to which I cannot wear any of my belly-hugging pre-pregnancy clothes. Thanks to the episode, I feel less alone in my condition and am currently researching kinesiotape." Well, Dara, thank you so much for writing this in. On a side note, I have actually been in touch with Dara before, and Dara has written this book. She actually sent me a copy of it, and I liked it so much I wanted to share it with you guys. It's called Catching Falling Cradles, and it has some different nursery rhymes in it. Some of the classic nursery rhymes that you may be familiar with, and I don't know if this happened to you guys, but once you have babies, whether it's twins or just singleton babies, you really start to pay more attention to nursery rhymes and what they are saying in them. And there's some nursery rhymes that really aren't all that nice. And so Dara had a great idea, and she has basically taken some of our classic nursery rhymes and changed up the wording just a little bit to make it a little more kid-friendly. For example, you guys all know Humpty Dumpty, right? Okay, I'm taking this directly from Dara's book. It says, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. His neighbors rushed to put him at ease and helped to bandage his ailing knees. See, that to me has a positive upswing to it instead of learning about an egg that's all cracked and nobody can help him out. So anyways, I wanted to mention this book to you guys. My kids really like it. I think yours will too. Again, it's called Catching Falling Cradles by Dara Lovitz. It's got some great illustrations on it, and it is available at the Amazon store. So be sure to check it out.
Well, today's topic is preparing your twin nursery, and today we're talking with Rachel Crawford. She is an interior designer and the founder of Molly Quinn, an agency that specializes in designing kids spaces. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, I know you're doing a lot of stuff for kids of all ages and babies. But in designing twin nurseries, is there anything that's really different, from having a singleton versus having twins?
There's not too much different besides having 2 cribs or a floor bed if you're going the Montessori route. And then the only other thing is to add another seating area if you're going to have somebody help you, your partner, with feeding. That way they're comfortable as well if you have the space. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same. You only need the one changing table, and it's really just the double crib or floor bed.
So that's great to know. So we don't have to have, twice as much space to have.
No. No. Yeah, I think that's probably a misconception. You really need to have a lot less than what you probably think you need.
And what are the essential items that every twin nursery should have?
Definitely 2 sleeping areas, so 2 cribs or floor beds. A changing table for sure, or a station. You can even do that on the floor. You don't have to have a changing dresser or table.
That's interesting that you say that, because I think we just automatically assume we have to have this high level changing area, but then maybe in some ways it is easier, especially if you're doing the assembly line style. Just have them on the floor, do one, and you don't even have to lift them up. They're right there. Do the next one.
Right, especially if you've got small spaces, especially in San Diego with all of our houses being kind of on the smaller side. You don't need to have all this big, bulky furniture.
Ah, interesting. Sorry, and what else do you think?
And then you need to have a feeding station, so that's like, a space for you to have a rocker or a chair somewhere that's comfy that you're going to be able to bond and either nurse your baby or have somebody help you with feeding. And then a play area, so that could be just on the floor, another blanket, an area rug, just a place for them to have tummy time, playing with toys, or even a blanket. But those are the main spaces that you need.
The main spaces. And now you mentioned that we need to have 2 sleeping area or two beds, let's just say. What are some of the other things that we don't we have to buy sets of 2?
That you have to buy sets of 2?
Or sorry, what are the things that we sometimes, I think a lot of twin moms, we go to the baby registry and we see, oh my gosh, we have to have 2 cribs, we have to have 2 strollers,
right,
bouncy seats, and then it's like, oh my gosh, it gets overwhelming. But what are the things that you probably can get by with just one?
You could get by with one swing, one bouncy, one little, those little chairs that you stick the baby in, because you're constantly switching them. I call them stations. So you put one baby in one station, put the next baby on the floor, and then you rotate. So they don't always have to be in the same thing at the same time. They like variety.
That's a great point, and I think a great money saver too.
Exactly.
That we really don't have to have 2 swings. I mean, those swings are pretty big.
They're big,
bulky.
yeah, and they're expensive.
Exactly.
So
if you just have one.
In terms of dressers, storage, that kind of thing, I mean, babies are pretty small, right?
They're small. You can get away with switching out clothes. They don't have to wear the same outfit, both the same. They can switch each other's clothes. That's the awesome part about having twins, is you can have this rotating clothing that you can just keep going, and you don't have to have 2 of the same. They can be their own little people.
That is that. I think that is an assumption that probably a lot of twin moms just automatically make, that we have to have the identical matching outfits just because it's cute. But from a practical standpoint,
you don't have to do it.
You don't
Especially
have to do
if
it.
you're the one that's buying the clothing. No, you're going to have people that are going to buy doubles of things, which is nice. But
Yes.
if you're purchasing, I would do one of each, or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, one of something different.
Yeah. And then now we often think of the nurseries as places where the babies spend most of their time. But I mean, we know that in the first few months, that's not often the case. I mean,
Right.
lots of times, the babies are sleeping in co-sleepers or bassinets with their parents in the bedroom. I know, like in my case, we didn't actually move our twins to the nursery until they were about 4 months old.
Right.
So, what would you recommend, for parents as far as like planning for their nursery and the use of the nursery during that time period?
Well, I would still use the nursery for feeding, for changing, tummy time, just being with the baby, because you're going to end up loving the space. That's going to end up being your favorite room in the whole house. And it's a way to get out of your bedroom. You don't want to be stuck in your bedroom like it's a den. I mean, you want to move out and really get the baby to enjoy the space and what you've created for them. So I use the room, the nursery, for everything else besides sleeping.
Mm-hmm. So it
you
doesn't
get
have
used
to
out
be
of it.
just a sleeping space. I think sometimes we think of bedroom, nursery,
Right.
it's just sleeping.
Right. No, it's a space for them to grow and to experience things and, to live.
And so that's, and it also, I think probably the proximity to the parents' bedroom, would help if you've got it, close by then.
Right, especially when your babies are going to be sleeping in the next room over, you want to be able to hear everything and to get up in the middle of the night and do those late night feedings without having to go too far.
Yes. Now, in that period too, with the baby spending some time like in the parents' room for sleeping, do you recommend the parents modify their own bedroom, for that time period? Because I know sometimes and maybe Shelley, you can talk to this too.
Yeah, so we lucked out. We're in a smallish apartment, but our master bedroom is actually really large. It's like 20 feet long,
Oh, nice.
which is unusual. So what we did is we put both cribs in our bedroom, and then I have a nice long dresser that kind of functioned as a changing table if we needed it. Just when they were really tiny and kind of fragile, we used that, but no, we definitely used the bed most of the time. But it was nice because the boys' cribs were in our room, and then their room just had playmat, swing, books, toys, and so it really was kind of just their space. And then once we transitioned, when they were, I think, 8 months, we just moved the cribs right into their room, and we still had the middle of the room for the same kind of play space. And then we never had a changing table in their room, though. The floor is easier. With only one person home with two babies most of the time, it's easier to have them both where you can keep your hands on them. So yeah, we kind of modified, and as they grew, I felt like we had to keep changing. So it was the nursery, or their room, is it's been through a lot of transitions. Once they could stand, it was like we had to move it so they couldn't grab each other and they couldn't grab the blinds. So the cribs had to move and the dressers had to move. And then, it's been a very fluid kind of.
Yeah,
That's great.
Definitely. And I think in our case too, for that first, 3-4 months, when we had, the girls in our room, at least, for the sleeping, we tried to do I think sleeping in our room, and then we tried to do some naps in the cribs in their own room, and kind of gradually move them more into the nursery area. But they did spend a lot of time in our room, and so I found I needed kind of even like a storage area for, I had like the nursing pillow, and I had pillows to support the tandem nursing pillow, and then sometimes we did some supplementation, so there was like some of the breastfeeding supplies, and then of course we talked about mom's breastfeeding, wanting to have like a snack little go-to basket sort of thing. So I think it does help to have sort of little things close by, ready and accessible.
Exactly. Yeah, and you don't need much else other than that, or your bassinet. Your baby's pretty small, and they don't need too much. They just need mommy and cuddle time.
Now, on the flip side too, parents are going to be spending a lot of time in the nursery. what do you recommend as far as, making it more comfortable for the adults? Because I think so often I see these pictures of these beautiful nurseries where they've got cribs and changing tables, and then there's like either maybe a rocking chair or a glider. And when you've got two, that's not always the most practical. I mean, you've got, a parent that's going to be there for a considerable amount of time. What do you recommend for parents?
Well, the number one thing I think you need to have in there is a night light, especially with late night feedings. You're not going to want to turn on a light and wake up the baby or babies and have them think that it's time to play. And you don't want to run into anything either. So that's really important to have in the space. And then the other thing is you can have a sofa or you can have a love seat so that you can sit there with babies and one can maybe hang out next to you. You can have someone else helping you feed. It doesn't have to be a rocker. Those sometimes are not the most comfortable. I would do some sort of chair or something that's comfy that you might already have. But having a big sofa or a love seat makes it so much easier. And then having bottles of water because you get super thirsty when you're nursing, and just having them accessible. And then also having those little snacks. I also like having a little iPod dock.
Oh, yeah.
So
Great
you can
point.
have
music.
some music, make it relaxing and enjoyable, and make it a space that it's yours. And
and that's a great point about having a little love seat, because I think for breastfeeding, I mean, the moms sort of have to get into the groove and find those comfortable positions for breastfeeding, whether it's single or tandem feeding. And I know with me, it took just a lot of different pillows and having them on both sides. And I think, the sofa, I spent a lot of time on sofas and couches.
It's just more comfy and more room. And having a blanket next to you is also nice too, because sometimes you get cold or you don't want to have to sit there freezing while you're nursing and not have to get up, because then you have to redo everything again to get situated. But
and then for the dads, I think I know my husband was kind of the baby whisperer, so lots of times they waking up at 3 a.m. and we'd feed them and they'd still need that sort of consoling and patting and going to sleep, and so he would actually spend a lot of time holding them. And I think that having like a little sofa or futon or something would be great.
Comfy,
I wish we had that. I wish I'd thought of that. Just so really
and then you're all together and it's nice and it's warm and baby can still smell mommy and
then having maybe one
together.
close by.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the money saving tips that you can use in building out your twin nursery. Well, welcome back. Today we're talking with Rachel Crawford, who creates some really cool living spaces for kids, and we're learning about ways that we can keep the costs down. So when we're thinking about twins and buying all this stuff, and often, buying for twins means it's just bigger expense and sometimes two of things. But what suggestions do you have for keeping the cost down and saving money?
So first, what I would do is just take inventory of what you've already got, because you can use so many things that are in your possession. So like with that changing table, using a dresser that you already have, you might just want to paint it and it totally becomes something different and put new handles on it or knobs. The other thing is, instead of buying a rocker chair or a glider like we already talked about, is look around and see what you have. You probably already have a comfy chair, or you have a love seat that you are not using. Stick it in there. The other thing you can use to make the money or it less expensive is using area rugs or accessories, lamps, that kind of thing that's not geared toward baby. That way it grows with the baby. Same thing with what you're painting the walls with, making it a neutral color and then adding the decor with accessories and going the theme that way. And that way you can move things out and change it up really easy and not having to spend so much more money in repainting and redecorating.
That's a great idea. I really love the idea of repurposing things. I can say I've been to some cool boutiques where I've seen where they've taken some, let's just say, 1960s kind of furniture, maybe some TV consoles or buffets or things like that, and it's been repainted and refinished and kind of the shabby chic type of look to it, and some really cool like glass knobs or something really funky. And then it's like, whoa, here you go. Here's your, diaper changing station. And it's really cool.
Yeah, and you can even go thrift shop shopping or flea market shopping and find some really cool pieces.
Yeah, we used a dresser. It was my mom's dresser, believe it or not, from when she was growing up. I mean, in the 70s, and her grandpa had her paint them orange because that paint was on sale. So horrible bright orange color. And I think there was two of them. And at one point, my brother painted one black, but the other one was just sitting in a closet. And so we took it out and repainted it kind of a bright blue. We got really cheap green knobs. So it was a blue and green dresser for their room. And then it's great advice to avoid baby stuff because the prepackaged nursery sets are ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Even times one and then times two. My goodness.
Yes.
So
and you only use it for so long.
yeah. Yes. So we got the lamp that we liked that was cutesy. It was a monster lamp. And then one of the blankets, like a throw blanket that had monsters. But a friend of my mom's found the same monster image online and blew them up and printed and framed them, so
cool.
Inexpensive. And then we used the same color for the dresser. And then we got some green rugs. So we just kind of tried to pull, as cheaply as possible the idea of this monster-themed nursery without spending the $400 it would have cost us to buy the pieces.
Yes.
And then you're not overloaded with the theme either. It kind of tones it down.
Yes. I know sometimes, you look at these sort of pre-matched sets where you've got a crib, the matching furniture, and then you've got like the crib blanket and the bumper and the sheets and the curtains, and it's like, oh.
It's cute to buy, but most of that stuff is not practical.
Yeah.
Although I will say this is the first time. So I got one of those expensive things with my firstborn and a boy, and then my second boy used that same set, right? And then with the girls, I had two boys, and now I was finally getting my girls, and I went crazy with pink. And so I will say though, one of the issues that I'm having now, I purposely didn't get one of those bumper things because I've heard, there's a safety issue with that, blah, blah, blah. Plus it was very cumbersome in my boys' room. It's like they didn't use it for that long or whatever. So I purposely didn't get it. And now, I don't know, again, my girls are now 7 months old. Now their little chunky legs keep getting stuck in the things. I have to go in there.
Through the slats of the crib.
We had the same problem. We didn't buy bumpers or valances or any because those are so expensive.
Yeah.
We just got just plain $10 crib sheets. And about the same age, once they were like 7, they started rolling like crazy with these huge thighs, and they got stuck. And we decided to kind of watch and wait because you can buy those safe, breathable bumpers.
Yes,
but they're pricey,
right.
And as soon as they start standing, they can climb right out of a crib on a bumper. So we said we'd give it 2 weeks and see. And it was like within a week, they just stopped getting stuck, and
they figured it out. Probably.
Yeah,
they got strong enough.
So I would say with something like that, watch and wait is a good.
Yes, that's what I'm doing right now.
They figured they didn't want to get their legs stuck anymore. So because I mean the sets come with, like you said, the bumpers. You're really not supposed to use them. The valances. I mean, who wants a monkey valance? If you even want one in your room. And then they've got these weird things like a diaper changing hanger that hang like
that's really
stuff
not practical.
That's really impractical.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got 2 babies to take care of too. It's cute. But.
No, so I was gonna say, Rachel, where are some of the places that parents can go to get some of these things if they don't already have it in their house?
Right.
Where are some of your go-to spots to sort of repurpose things?
Sometimes your parents have things just like she was saying in the closet or in the garage or something, and you just have to look at it in a completely different light and just ignore that it's orange. But yeah, what I was saying, like the flea markets and thrift stores or even Friends. Craigslist is an awesome place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just look past what it looks like now and just, think of the possibilities.
You do. You have to have an imagination for sure. Mm-hmm. And isn't there something about if you're going to do a dresser or something, doesn't need to be real wood or something like that if you're going to obviously refinish. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it can't be that press stuff. You got to consider
you can't
that.
refinish that.
Right.
But most of the time you'll be able to find some real wood and you can paint over that.
Yeah.
And just
and
put a primer
really
on it.
Affordably too.
Yeah.
Much more so than it used to be. A lot of furniture stores, even the cheaper ones, the big, they're carrying real wood, just unfinished, and you can If
Yeah,
you go
you
to a
could totally
furniture
paint that.
specialty store, you can get an unfinished one for cheaper. So avoiding particle board is good too, because as soon as they start
durability?
moving,
Oh,
well, you're
yeah.
going to need to bolt everything to the walls.
Right.
So as soon as they're out of those cribs, you don't want any freestanding furniture, and it
Right.
is way easier to connect real wood to a wall than to be drilling into
Yeah.
particle board.
Exactly.
And safer probably too. It would probably hold it better.
Definitely. Now, on the decorating side of things, can you give us some ideas for some different themes that work well with twins? I mean, I know we've heard a lot of like two peas in a pod.
Can we say some that we hate? I actually don't hate two peas in a pod. I hate the thing 1 and thing 2. I'm sorry. I hate it. Just calling your child a thing is driving me
for
crazy.
a birthday party, maybe, but for like a room,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Not to mention, I don't know if I'd want to have pictures of these things with this
would
big
scare
red
me, yeah.
hair. Yeah.
Everywhere.
I mean, Dr. Seuss is great, but
Right.
there are limits.
I think
Exactly.
Noah's Ark is a cute
I think that's
one
so
for
cute.
twins.
Yeah, because it's the doubles.
Yeah.
2x2?
2x2.
That's I like that.
We did because again, two girls. We did pink, but I didn't do like bright pink, right? I thought once they get to be teenagers, they're probably going to want fluorescent pink or whatever. So we did like this really pale, kind of a carnation pink with tan, and it's roses, but it's really kind of light and airy. But we kind of did a sugar and spice theme in their room. So we used wall decals. I love wall decals.
Oh, yes.
And there are a couple, I don't know if it's Etsy, but there's a couple online, I think it is Etsy. There's a couple of independent shops on Etsy that specialize in it. You can get anything written up. I have the girls' names above their beds in this really pretty cursive. It was easy to put on. And then I have a saying, sugar and spice, and what are little girls made of? Sugar and spice and everything nice. And so we kind of nickname who's sugar, who's spice kind of thing. So that was kind of our theme.
That's
that we
cute.
went with, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. The other thing is if you're gonna do a theme, like let's say it's a forest, you can do two little deers or something, just something subtle that's not like in your face. But to get inspiration, my favorite place is Pinterest. That
Oh
is
my gosh.
addicting, and they have everything on there. And
Do you have specific people you follow on Pinterest for ideas or like?
no, I
anything?
kind of just I'll think of something that
Yeah.
I like or a theme, and I'll just plug it in. And it's not always a nursery that I'm looking for.
Right.
It's something in general. So it could be based off of a movie or a book or a cafe or even a hotel that you've been to, some place that you love, and I create those sort of feelings and spaces in your home. So
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, you probably talk to twin parents and they say, you know what? We just love, I don't know, what's the Enchanted. I'm just kind of thinking of the movie.
Oh, no, the
Frozen.
Frozen.
Is that what you're thinking?
I know. I was thinking the old school Enchanted. From where the
combination.
the
cartoon
cartoons come
movie.
to life in New
Yeah.
York. New York.
Oh, right.
Yes. See, I'm okay. Now, am I dating myself?
Frozen's the latest thing.
I
Christine.
know. What am I thinking of? But I mean, if they could probably say, you know what, we just love this movie. How can we incorporate that into the room?
So then you can just take an overall like mood or color that's going throughout the film and pull that out and make that the wall color or on the ground with the area rug. But there's so many things you can do without it being too themey. You can get the feeling of the space just within color and texture.
So I mean, like in the case of Frozen, then obviously blue works for girls.
It goes both ways, exactly.
Well, you don't want to repaint the room.
I just know with twins, it is twice as long that you spend in their room, if not 4 times as long. I mean, I just remember I was in that room for hours and hours and hours because one wakes up and one goes back to bed and you're sitting and you really don't want to get sick of it.
Right. No, it needs
so
to reflect your
I think
style.
especially with all the extra stuff that ends up in there, even if you're not buying 2 of everything, I think it's great advice to just pull one like color or one theme, because the more themey you get, that you'll start to feel
more
like those
distraction.
walls are kind of closing in on you.
And distractions in general. I would imagine too that the type of colors you use, if you use stuff that's too bold, maybe that would make it harder for them to sleep. If you're doing primary colors, I don't know if I'd want to do that necessarily. You know what I mean?
Right. No, you would want to create a base that's probably soft, and then if
Yeah.
you wanted those things that are stimulating to the baby, have it out while the baby's awake
Right.
and going, and then put it away.
Right.
So, how about for opposite sex twins? I mean, that might be a little bit more challenge. I know with, if you've got, a set of girls or a set of boys, you can do traditional color. It's probably easier. If you've got boy, girl,
Green and yellow.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, I've done them where you have a base color that is good for boys and girls. So like maybe we'll do like a white, and then on the boys' crib and side, we use colors that are a bit more masculine, but still complement what's going on the girls' side. So maybe the boys will have some green and some blues, and then on the girls' side, there's more like reds and pinks, and then but they are opposite on the color wheel, so they complement, and they still look good. And then the white just pops everything off. So kind of doing a base and then popping off each other and making sure that they complement.
And I guess with any theme, you could have sort of like, let's just say the forest or the monkey. I know monkeys seem to be really popular. You could have a girl monkey and a boy monkey.
Exactly.
Wall decals. Wall decals. They're awesome.
Now, how about organization? I
Yes.
mean, that is just a constant challenge at any age. So starting off, I mean, do you have any recommendations for, organizing closets and storage areas?
Yeah, so you're going to want to do that well before babies are coming, and babies that are twins are probably going to come earlier than you think. So doing it well in advance. So labeling everything. IKEA and the Container Store have awesome ideas. Take those and use it in the baby's room. You don't have to do anything that's baby oriented, like little baby baskets. Do something that's a little bit more grown up. I've even done organizations with pegboards. Like behind the changing table, and you can have all your little things in there. The Container Store has great drawer organizations, so you can put your diapers in there, your wipes, the baby cream, all that stuff in the drawer and tucked away, and it's all organized. There's all kinds of ideas. Like on Etsy, I just saw these really cool. They're like when you go shopping, you know how you have the size dividers, those plastic rings that go around on the clothing rack.
For the
So
sizes,
you can get those that are blank online, and then you make your own little template, and then you can have your 3 to 6
That
month, your
is
6
awesome.
to 9 month.
Because I'm always looking at I'm all like, well, what size is this? And I try to organize it, but then where does it go from 3 months to 6 months? And then you got to find that dividing
thing.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's great. So just having all those things, and then another idea I've used is using a curtain tension rod in the closet, and you have those rings for the curtains, and they have the little alligator clips on them. Using those to organize the shoes, so that the shoes are all together and they're lined up.
Wow,
they're easy to find, and they're just together, and little
having things
like
ready to go. Yeah.
Yes.
And I like your idea of, just the idea of labeling things, and if you're having either little like chalkboards or, whiteboards or thing that you can, because it seems like, as they grow older into a new phase, then you're often repurposing that drawer and that space for something, whatever the next thing is. I mean, the diapers are there for, a couple years, but then there's, the toys, sometimes they change out, and then, the clothes and the types of things. So I know that always helps to be able to have a flexible system.
Organization for toys was really important. We have those cube systems, they sell them at Target and IKEA with the baskets. And it was nice when they were little because we could just pull out one basket for them and then put it away. And now that they're older, they know they can pull out one basket, and when they're done playing with that, they have to put it back and put it. So it's like a whole house kind of organization system that we've pulled through the years.
Yeah, and you want things that you can put things away in and not see them. You don't want to see clutter. It just makes everything kind of crazy.
Yes, among the existing chaos.
Right.
You don't want to add to it. Yeah.
Right.
Well, awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for everybody for joining us today. And for more information about preparing your twin nursery, or for more information about any of our speakers and panelists, you can visit our episode page on our website. And this conversation continues for members of our Twin Talks Club. And we're going to be talking about some cool DIY project ideas for the nursery. For more information about the Twin Talks Club, visit our website, twintalks.com.
All right, here is a brand new fun series that we are introducing here on Twin Talks. We love to hear from our listeners and all the amazing stories you guys have with your twins. And we wanted to create a platform where you guys could share how you found out you were pregnant with twins and what the reaction was, because everyone has their amazing story, right? And so we're calling this series we're expecting what? And so this one is from Gretel. And Gretel says, this is a nice, sweet story. She says, I went in for my 5-month prenatal exam. I was anxious to get a medical professional on my case as I was as big as I was right before I delivered my son. I was 25% larger than what I was supposed to be at 5 months. So my midwife sent me in for a diagnostic ultrasound. We waited over a week to find out, and we were so hoping to be expecting twins, but I could have been farther along in my pregnancy. The ultrasound specialist told us the happy news that we are in fact expecting fraternal twin girls. I giggled and thanked God all the way home between phone calls. And when my mom told my dad, he never laughed so hard in his life. We are all so excited. I think these stories are so amazing because it's true. I don't know if this was the case, with your pregnancies, but when I found out that I was pregnant with twins, I almost felt like I should have known that there were 2 babies in there. So Gretel, I totally get it. I can understand how you can be further along in your pregnancy and still not know. But they say that moms have that extra hunch. I mean, I didn't, but it sounds like you thought maybe there was more than one baby in there. So this is a great story. So Gretel, thank you so much for helping us kick off this series. If you guys want to share your funny, amazing story of how you found out you were expecting twins, you can either send us an email or you can call our voicemail, and that number is 619-866-4775.
That wraps up our show for today. We appreciate you listening to Twin Talks. Don't forget to check out our sister show, Preggy Pals, for expecting parents, and our show, The Boob Group, for moms who breastfeed their babies, and Parent Savers, your parenting resource on the go. Next week, we're going to be talking about recovering from diastasis recti. This is Twin Talks, Parenting Times 2.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
New Mommy Media is expanding our lineup of shows for new and expecting parents. If you have an idea for a new series, or if you're a business or organization interested in joining our network of shows through a co-branded podcast, visit newmommymedia.com. Hey mamas, don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording, so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.